Looking to learn life lessons without going through the experience? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Hidden Struggles with your host, Lady C.
Hey, this is Lady C coming at you. In the last video I talked about how I was going to tell you how I earned 36 credits in one semester. That's right, 36 credits. Now, before I get started, let's just kind of talk about don't get so overwhelmed in the process. If you decide to go back to college, if you're going to school or whatever it is, try not to get too overwhelmed in the process because you can become overwhelmed if you think too much, okay? And the reason why I'm saying this is because when I shared this experience with one of my classmates and showed her how I did it, she just said, I'm not doing that. So I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or anything. But let's just take this in small baby steps. Because going back to school for me wasn't all about how quickly I could attain my degree. Because as I stated in previous videos, I have a cousin who said, take one class a semester if that's all you can do. And then eventually you will get your degree because you're going to be constantly working towards the goal. Okay. So I don't want you to get so overwhelmed with the process and hearing me say 36 credits. And then you're like, oh my God, I can't do that either. Okay. So first and foremost, I made up my mind that I was going to go to school. And after leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses, my husband and I decided that we were going to take a couple of semesters of psychology. And the reason why is because we had been discouraged from going to school. Okay. They were saying, the Watchtower Society was saying, you know, it would be better for us to be regular pioneers, taking up some kind of full-time service that had a lot to do with their organization instead of our personal and professional development. We always knew, or we were trained as children to shy away from college because going to college was going to somehow mess us up mentally and psychologically. And we're going to have to take all these classes like psychology and philosophy. And then we're no longer going to want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. So psychology is one of the first classes we took. Okay. And we had to say that it was a really good experience. So what we did was we took those classes at a community college because, you know, our concern was the cost as well. You know, because a lot of times you hear about all these people, you know, getting involved with all the student loan debt. And as you know, today they made a ruling from the Supreme Court that they're not going to do debt forgiveness for some people that are, you know, strapped with all this debt. Well, we did not want to get involved in student loan debt. So we didn't, you know, take out any loans. Now, I know I talked about I had a student loan when I went to business school, but that wasn't nothing. I think my payment was like $35 a month. So that wasn't too bad. But with the community college, you know, it gave us the opportunity to take night classes and stuff like that. And so we began to take our classes at community college. And then as you begin to meet people and network, you learn about other possibilities to accelerate your degree. The advice that I was given, if I was going to get a 4-year degree, that it would be better to target experiential learning, but target the learning from the 4-year institution and not the 2-year institution that's going to give you the associate's degree. And the reason why I was told that was because you really don't want to try to go and get those credits transferred to the 4-year institution. It would be much easier to attain this kind of experiential learning from the 4-year institution. So I just kept on taking all my classes at the community college. And the way the experiential learning worked during the time that I was getting my degree, you could actually target 30 credits. And then they would give you 3 credits for taking the class. So that meant that you would get 33 credits for that whole program. And the other thing is I actually took a class during the time that I was targeting the 30 credits. Now, a lot of people may wonder, why did I do that? It's because I was following my degree program from the associate's level and from the bachelor's degree level. And the degree that I chose made it possible that I could get an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. And that's the way I worked it out. And in another video, I'm going to talk about that experience because it was a very interesting experience that I had and how I was able to do that. Not only that, but I did so and I did not lose any credits. And it was all because of this new academic advisor that I got. Again, I'll tell you about that experience in the next video because it was a very positive experience. But like I said, I earned 36 credits in one semester because I targeted 30 credits. And I was given 3 credits for taking that class. And I also enrolled in a class at the same time. And when I finished that semester, I ended up with 36 credits. That was a very, very interesting experience. And because it's so much detail involved in this experience, I'm going to just give it to you in chunks. And when I tell you it was very much worth it, it was worth it. Now, before I enrolled in the experiential learning class, I actually did my homework first. And I was able to talk to a person who actually had gone through the program and they got all of their credits awarded. So I'm going to give you a word of caution. Make sure you don't waste all the time that I did talking to somebody who had already gone through the program and then all to the tune of you getting to the class and they changed the whole way it works. That's exactly what happened to me. Because when this individual that I'm talking about was telling me about her experience, they actually allowed you to write your portfolio because it's a portfolio that you're writing. And they actually let you write it like a book report. But when I came along, they needed to measure it a little bit more to show that you actually learned something. So you couldn't just write it up like a book report. You had to use examples and experiences and how you learned it, where you learned it, when you learned it, and all that kind of stuff. It may sound complicated, but trust me, it's not. Because when I tell you, it was much easier than I thought. Now, it was good that I did do some research before I got started, because at least I understood that I had to write a portfolio and I had to target specific classes, and you wanted to make sure you only did no more than 2 or 3 academic areas. I mean, there's a lot going on, but if you look at it from the angle of it's a 12-week class, because that's how long mine was, and trust me, you want to do the full semester. You do not want to do experiential learning and only have an 8-week class, because it's going to take you much longer to get through the class. But after I, got all my credits and stuff awarded, some years later, I called back to the college, to the university, to find out if the program had changed any. And the person I spoke to at the university told me that they're allowing people to take the class multiple times. But when I took it and you targeted those classes, you could only do it one time. So if you targeted 30 credits and you only got 15, at the time, that was it. But now I understand they're allowing people to take the class multiple times because they're realizing that people just can't do that. They can't get the 30. But when I tell you, I was so excited about that accomplishment because I think I had over 200 pages. And the friend of mine that I told about this program, when I showed up with my binder of all the documentation that I had written, she looked at my finished product and she said, "No, thank you." She said, "I am not doing that." So what I was trying to tell her is that when you're doing that, treat it like multiple term papers within that semester. So most classes are going to have you write about 4 or 5 different term papers, depending on what kind of class it is, especially if it's a writing class, history class or something. You're going to have to write multiple term papers. So if you just look at it from the angle of multiple term papers, that might help you. But sometimes people will look at a finished product and they just say they can't do it. But I was up for the challenge. And I think it was one of the best accomplishments that I've ever done in my life, because I was able to get 36 credits in one semester. So I look forward to, you being in my audience in the next few episodes, because I'm going to be talking about my college experience. And in other videos, I'm going to be also kind of weaving in more of my experience about being one of Jehovah's Witnesses as well, because all of this kind of goes hand in hand. In fact, in my next couple of videos, I'm going to talk about the college experience and how I was able to use my life experience as one of Jehovah's Witnesses to write that portfolio. So I look forward to having you in my audience in the next episode. This has been Lady C. Thank you for being in my audience.
Thanks so much for listening to Hidden Struggles with your host, Lady C. This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers, online at hiddenstruggle.com. Feel free to send an email to info@hiddenstruggle.com, and we'll catch you next time on Hidden Struggles. The views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Critical Thinkers.